Hello there and welcome to The Broke Gardener. Today is March 12th and it is a very snowy day in central Minnesota. Let me show you. Very snowy. Very snowy, huh? Oh, there's my cars. Give you some perspective. How snowy it really is. Today I wanted to talk about gardening, of course, why you should start gardening, why I started gardening, and kind of a little backstory on gardening for me. I'm going to be doing some seeds and stuff while I talk about this, just because I'm down in my basement right now working on starting seeds anyway. First and foremost, I know it can be kind of intimidating. When I started, it was about, I want to say 4 summers ago. And it was just, I had this little fence and I was like, and then I had bought this house, okay, when I was 21. And I have a big yard for being in town, I really do. And I really wanted this little fence. It's just this little, I don't know, it's probably about 10 feet long. It's on the edge of my property. I don't know if the person who lived here before put it in or if the neighbors put it in, but that lot behind me, it's just an open lot. There's no house or anything on it, but I think the neighbors own it. Anywho, I saw this fence and I thought to myself, you know, my mom, she had a garden, a salsa garden. She would grow jalapenos and peppers, all kinds of peppers, and she would grow tomatoes and cucumbers and, you know, but it was the majority salsa. She really didn't do a whole bunch of stuff. Just enough. She loved salsa and tomatoes, and she loved cucumbers. So those were the things she did, the things she loved, the things she knew she'd eat. She could, you know, make salsa with. And, well, I saw this little fence, and I was like, man, that would be a great place for a garden. It's like it's got full sun, and on the complete opposite side of my property, by the way. It's about 150 feet from my house spigot to the garden. Now, that didn't occur to me when I did this garden. When I decided to dig the grass up with a shovel. Didn't have a sod cutter. Didn't have no help. It's just little old me and spade shovel. and I dug I would say it's about 10 by 10. Probably should measure it. This year, I plan on actually measuring things, and I plan on doing a little bit of the block gardening or the square foot gardening. I'm going to try it out anyway. Anywho, and I just knew that I wanted to grow. The property that I had was beautiful. There were gardens from the previous owner. And they were perennial gardens. There's some tulips on the south side that come up. Half of them had, you know, died over the years. There's only a few that from before that still come up. I planted more since then. There's tiger lilies everywhere. I'm not a fan of tiger lilies, and I don't know about wherever anyone else is. But in Minnesota, they grow extremely wild, and they mass produce like crazy, and they're just everywhere. And it's not that I don't think they're beautiful, it's just that they're in abundance. And I have them on the south side of my garage, and that was enough for me. I didn't need any more, but now they were on the east side of my patio, and they were down by my fire pit in this little garden down there. And anywho, I just thought that, this is a very lovely yard, and I wanted to make it even more lovely. I just felt inside like that it was something I wanted to do. So I was broke, so I bought some seeds. I think the only thing that I didn't buy for seeds that year was tomatoes, and the following year was tomatoes. I had bought tomato plants at a nursery. Probably not even a nursery. Honestly, it was probably like, I don't know, Fleet Supply, or like what is it? The Napa, the Auto Value in the town next to me. They have like a little greenhouse that they set up every year. And anyway, and I just bought some tomatoes, threw them in the ground, bought some seeds. I can't tell you exactly what seeds I bought. I probably did cucumbers. I know I did watermelon. Watermelon is something I've been trying to grow. Since I started gardening, and well, it still has not worked out. But anyway, I'm really trying. Which is another thing. Anyway, sorry if I ramble. It's really hard for me to keep in a straight line anyway in one topic. But I planted seeds, and I went to the Dollar General. I had no idea how I was going to get enough water to water this 10 by 10 garden, right, on 150 feet away from my nearest spigot. And I did not have the money to go buy a bunch of hoses at that time. And so I went and bought. Then the Dollar General had these, like, I don't know, maybe 25 gallon dumpsters for like $5. They were cheap as could be. I went there, I bought it. It had 2 wheels on it. So I would fill that 25 gallon dumpster up, or a garbage can, and I would haul it all the way down to my garden. I have a massive hill. You'll see during the summer. It's quite a hill. My dogs have torn up all the grass, but I'm planning on reseeding that this year anyway. And I hauled it all the way down to my garden, and I bought myself a cheap little watering can, and I would dip my watering can into this gallon, and I would water every day. I would go down there. The days that it rained were truly a blessing at the time. It was my first year, and I can't tell you that I got much for a harvest. I did get tomatoes. I've gotten tomatoes every year. Learned a lot that, I went into this completely blind. 5 years ago, YouTube wasn't as big as it is right now. I wasn't much into watching YouTube besides music videos, just listening to music, whatever. And since then, my garden has grown massively. I've put in a drip irrigation system, which I just put in last year, actually. The following year, it's crazy because this property, I had no idea. I knew it had potential for beautiful. I knew that it had been beautiful at one time and was just neglected for years. So, I had a cup of coffee somewhere. Apparently, I'm not in right down with me. Anyways, oh man. The following year, I had planted seeds, and then of course tomatoes. No, maybe I planted tomato seeds that year. I don't really remember. Anywho, my garden that year, as luck would have it, I was actually driving down the road, and I ended up seeing a bunch of garden hoses on the side of the road. They were like getting rid of them, and I pulled over. They were by the dumpsters, by their garbage cans. I pulled over and I was looking at them, whatever, and The lady's like, oh, you can have them. I'm just throwing them away. I was like, yeah, all right. Took them all. Took them all. Took them all. There was a couple of sprinkler hoses, you know, like them flat hoses that shoot out like sprinkler like water. And it just so happened that every one of these hoses were good. None of them, I mean, the, you know, connections leaked slightly. Not that big of a deal. But they reached all the way to my garden. And so there was 3 50-foot hoses. This is how I figured out my garden's 150 feet away from my my spigot anyway. And I had wrapped this sprinkler hose around the back side of the fence, and I just like weaved it in there, you know, so that it would shoot out over my garden. And I ended up with so many weeds that year, right away, instantly. I mean, I was properly watering it for the first time, and the weeds choked out every seed that I had planted before it even had a chance to come up. That sucked. I sat there for hours trying to weed it, and ended up completely tilling it in and replanting seed. It was like devastating, but it didn't stop me. I knew it was something that I wanted. I knew that I had had success the year before. I knew that it was possible, and something that I really wanted. So I did. I replanted all the seeds. And I mean, I've had carrots every year. I've had tomatoes every year. I've had cucumbers every year. I don't think I've planted peppers every year. But, you know, as the years went on, my garden got bigger. I wanted to grow more. And I dug up more of my yard. Last year I told myself I was not going to dig up any more of my yard. And then I still did not get a corn crop, which really is devastating. I think this is my 3rd year trying to grow corn. It's not working. Don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know much about soil. I'm not a professional. I know that the ecosystem and the soil works together. I don't use harmful products. Hey, if you're going to yell, go upstairs. You don't need to be down here. Go on. But I know that that when you put pesticides and stuff on things, and I had an understanding of like healthy food, and I guess was probably a reason why I started a garden. You know, I was broke, and I really didn't have a lot of money to buy groceries at the time, and I knew that I liked vegetables. Not as much as I do now. I definitely did not like as many vegetables as I like now. I probably didn't know how to cook very many. Well, I've always had a passion for cooking. Anywho. And, so, over the years, things just came together. And the funny thing is, my property. Now, I knew it was God who told me to plant. When the 3rd year, the 3rd year, I got blooms on this tree out by where I'd put my garden, and it had never bloomed before. It was just a small, teeny tiny. You could have cut it down with a handsaw easily when I moved in. And it got these beautiful, absolutely beautiful blooms. I'll post a picture wherever here or something. Yeah, right here. And it was just a beautiful tree. Beautiful tree. I had no idea what it was. Turns out it's a plum tree. Turns out there was another one that a bird must have dropped a seed, because then the following year there was a plum tree growing on the side of my garage up, 100 feet from this tree, and it had never bloomed before. It wasn't big enough to bloom before, and I couldn't believe it. Well, then 2 years ago now, yeah, okay, so it must have been that same year that there's an apple tree in my yard that bloomed for the very first time. And I got that year 2 apples. Two apples on the whole entire tree. I got 2 apples. This last summer, I got a tree full of apples. And I just, it's amazing. There is so much life coming into this yard. And to me, that first year that I decided to put in a garden, looking back on it now, it wasn't as prevalent. I don't know if that's the right word, but it was just something I wanted to do. I thought in my heart I wanted to do it. And I'm starting to realize that there was a lot more to it than just that. The more that I loved the earth that I control, the more that I put love into this land, the more love this land gave me. And to me, that was God rewarding me for having fought through the years of struggle. Gardening is not easy by any means, but it's not hard. It can be trying at times. It can cost you more money than you have sometimes, if you allow it, I mean. But at the end of the day, one thing I absolutely love, and this is a quote from Jessica Sowards, if you don't know her. It's Roots and Refuge Farm. It's a YouTube channel. I'll link it below. She always says, well, there's a few things that she says. Plants want to grow. Seeds want to grow. When you grow a seed, it produces hundreds more. A cucumber. Look at all the seeds inside of a cucumber. If you were to not pick that, let it dry up and whatever, the next year, those hundreds of seeds, as long as it was pollinated right, would grow hundreds of cucumber plants. Plants want to survive, believe it or not, they do. You put a seed in the ground and God does the rest. I mean, you give it water and sun, and you put the seed in soil, and God will do the rest. Now, after years, my soil has depleted, and there are things that I'm learning that I'm going to have to mend my soil. I started a compost pile last year. And over the years, I'm learning. I watch YouTube daily on a lot of homesteading videos. That's what I want one day. I want a homestead. I will have a homestead. That is what I'm meant to do, and I dream for it every day, and I fight for it, and I work for it every day. But even so, I have these. Even if you don't have the land to grow, you should grow. You should grow. Well, check these out. So I'm going to do my herbs in these. Now, these are just tiny. They have bigger ones. This is from the Dollar Tree. Okay, and there's 3 in each. The bigger ones you have to buy individually for $1.25. Check it out. They stack together just like this. I'm going to fill 3 of these up. I'm going to throw some herbs in it because the herb planter that I have in my windowsill right now, the herbs are pretty well depleted and need to be repotted, and the soil is a couple years old. So I'm gonna put new soil in these, and this is gonna be my new little, right now I just have like a windowsill rectangle planter that I just did rows of different herbs. But I'm gonna do these, and hopefully they look great. Sitting in my windowsill full of herbs that I can cook with and make teas with and stuff. So, but I strongly suggest that you start growing, even if it's in a small capacity. I think that the world is coming to a place where growing your own food is necessity. At least knowing how, at least understanding like that it is possible for you to grow your own food. You know, you see the stores are, everything's going up, and store shelves are empty, and eggs are outrageous. Eggs are the new gold. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, even if you don't do it out of necessity, I always say the garden is my church, and the gym is my therapy. I weightlift 5 days a week, but I always find peace when I'm in my garden. I spend hours in my garden, hours more than I have to spend in my garden. But I love it, and it is something well worth my doing. And, you know, I just wanted to, yeah, it can be fearful, but honestly, if you just do it, and you don't have to really think about it. You just take a pot, you put some soil in it, take some seeds. Let's see here. Got some Oregon sugar pod peas. I got some leeks. And I got some salad bowl lettuce. Take some leeks. Now I'm going to pot these all in this pot. Once they get bigger, I'm going to separate them out into individual pots. But I'm just going to put a few right on top of the soil. Now, if you've ever seen an onion seed, you can't see the seeds, but I'm going to take a little bit more soil. Just going to sprinkle it lightly on top. There we go. And that is going to go sit in water. And so if you can see right here, I have my grow lights, and you really can't see, but there you go. Got all my seeds started, and once those seeds come up, they're going to have the light they need, and they're going to have water, and they're going to grow. And that's how easy it is. I start mine indoor. I didn't start mine indoor until last year was my first year actually starting indoors. This is my second year starting indoors. And it turns out, and by the grace of God, I went to the Walmart, and I was like, you know, I need grow lights if I'm going to start indoors. I was looking for just some cheap bulbs I could throw in here on the ceiling, whatever I could do as cheap as possible. It's going down the clearance aisle. Lo and behold, not only do they have an actual fixed grow light but they have bulbs for lights that I already have. Grow lights, grow bulbs, grow light bulbs. And I was like, hey, they were little to nothing. They were in the clearance aisle. It was fate. It was fate. To me, it was fate. It was fate. It was God. It was fate. And I started them indoors last year. Here I am starting them indoors this year. Now, I'm going to tell you, these are $1.25 at the Dollar General or Dollar Tree. I mean, $1.25 each. Come on now. These $1.25 each. They're bigger, you know, much bigger. I've got planting sticks. $1.25. You get 10 of them. Not a bad deal at all. You can also cut up. This is a Yoplait light. Plastic thing that I cut into pieces, and look, I got sticks. I didn't even need to buy those, but for $1.25, why not buy them? If it's something you want to do it. You honestly, you cannot fail. It is a constant learning curve, I guess, as you would say. And as Jessica Sowards from Roots and Refuge Farm says, you turn your waiting room into a classroom. No, I do not have a homestead, but one day I want a homestead. No, I do not have the ability right now to have a big, massive, beautiful garden like Jessica Sowards did in Arkansas. But I will. I will one day. And when that day comes that I can have that big, beautiful garden on that big, beautiful homestead, I will know everything I need to know to have it. And my challenges will be, I will have new challenges. And therefore, learning now takes away from any extra challenges I may have, you know, come across. Because I already know. I'm learning right now. Every year, I learn more and more. I learn more about everything. I learn more about what grows good in my area. I learn more about what doesn't. I learn more about what they need. And honestly, to me, in gardening, you could lose your entire crop like I did that second year. Not a single seed came up because them weeds just over. And I had my poor nephew. I was like, yeah, I'll take you to the lake after you help me weed. It's like, all right, yeah, let's do that. We sat there all day weeding that garden, and we barely made a dent. And I couldn't even take him to the lake because it was too late. I felt so bad. And then I ended up tilling it all up anyway. It was stressful. It was trying. It sucked. But it didn't stop me. And I didn't fail. I learned to stay ahead of the weeds. And this year I'm learning how to crop cover so that I don't have to worry about that as many weeds. I'm going to crop cover. I'm going to try square foot gardening. These are all things you can find info about on YouTube if you're curious. However, you know, just do it. Just do it. Just garden. Just garden. It's well worth it. Well, I actually left my other peas and my lettuce upstairs, which is kind of a bummer. But YouTube is an incredible learning resource. Learn. Do it. It's a great idea. Bought this from the Dollar Tree, by the way, for $1.25. Now I can write down what day I plant what. Well, it's a little planner, whatever. So today is March. Previously I was using this chalkboard that I have, but it's a small chalkboard. And I tend to write kind of big, so I figured this would be much better for me. And I can have it for years to come without having to erase it. So then I know next year what I planted on what day and what didn't work. And you know, you just learn. So today is Sunday, March 12th. Got nothing to do. I'm snowed in. Why not plant some seeds? So I planted leeks and peas. And my other peas are upstairs. So these will have to do for now. Oh, I will take you and I will show you my little happenings here. Still getting used to using this camera system. It's kind of different. I'm not used to this. Alright. Let's see here. Woo. Now I'm going to take these. Oh! I did not write. Might want to label them. It's probably important. I mean, I know it's important anyways. I'm going to stand you up real quick. Alright. We have sugar pod 2 peas. Sugar pod peas. Look. Sugar pod peas. Well, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I believe this is the piece. Oh my. Who does that? You guys distracted me. I forgot to label them. Oh, that's funny. Anywho, do as I say, not as I do, right? Ooh. Ooh. Look at that. How nice. Boy, this light looks kind of different, huh? All right. So there are the 2 squares I just planted, these 2. And here's everything else, looking kind of sad because I constantly forget to water them. But I don't know how to focus this camera. Well, that just stopped the recording. But as you can see. Look at the little guy that wants to come up. There you have it. Not a list of reasons, but there's my journey. Take what you want out of it. Learn. Just garden. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. I'm broke as pie. I don't know. And I still manage to garden. So just do it. Just garden. Even if you can't figure out how to work your camera. Have a beautiful day.